So another method, again, a smaller scale for maybe the backyard barbecue enthusiast who wants to make their own charcoal, local fuel for local food. That's what we're talking about here. Besides the kind of medium-sized kiln that we have going in the background, is 255-gallon drums. Okay, so the bottom barrel of this this kiln has a bottom to it, okay, and it has vents cut in the for the oxygen to be pulled down to the bottom, okay. So it has vents every few inches all the way around. And we're going to load this full of wood, but instead of starting the fire on the bottom, we're actually going to start it on top. And once that gets going, we're going to set another drum, but this one is hollow. It does not have a bottom or a top. And two has vents cut in the bottom. And this will sit on top of this drum, of the lower one. And this is the method for controlling the oxygen flow in this kiln. So if the fire is started on top of this lower one, but because the oxygen vents are in the bottom, it has to burn down, and that makes a low oxygen environment. These vents, this whole thing is called an afterburner. So these vents allow enough oxygen in to burn off the volatile organic compounds, which is a lot of what we see coming off of that smoke. That's pretty white right now, but when it turns to a darker smoke, those are volatile organic compounds, kind of a thick, blacker, browner smoke. So this kiln actually will have no smoke visible coming from it because it all gets burned off in the afterburner. Once it is done, once it's cooked, and you put a lid on top and seal it up in some way. A clamp that you can get with some of these barrels is one way to do that, and you also seal up the bottom of the barrel with sand or dirt or something like that to, again, shut off all the oxygen. So again, we're just going to fit as much uniform wood in here as possible. It's not important that it's up and down, but that's just the easiest way with the least cutting to load these. So while we're loading this with sticks that are round and don't break easily, once it's turned into charcoal, it's a very fragile product that just naturally breaks up as you handle it. In fact, you want to limit how much you handle so you don't break up the larger pieces into stuff that's too small to use in a grill very easily. So again, this fuel is just to make it easy. You could certainly do it with just paper and good kindling. Thank you. And we're going to let this get burning good before we put that second barrel on top. So right now it's going to smoke just like a campfire would. You would never light a campfire on top, right? You always would light it on the bottom. And that's the idea with the second barrel, is that it's going to control the oxygen so that it can't come and burn from here. It has to go down to where the vents are on the bottom. And that makes that low oxygen environment making the charcoal. Right. So we let that little campfire that we built on top get going good. I can see the little stuff that we've got is turned into some hot coals. It's not the charcoal that we're going to have as a product, but it's burning. There's plenty of heat here now. So to set the second barrel on top, which again is open, so it's basically a chimney, or if you will, an afterburner that takes the organic. So now you see this smoke, and once we set that on top, if it's going right, it should be smokeless. So go ahead and give that a try. You can see heat, but you can't see smoke. That's done.
And by the time you put the lid on it, choke it off.
So you see these pieces that were on the outside, you know, that's still got some solid wood to it. So that'll break right off because that's charcoal. And we don't really stir that around, just doing that so that you can see what it looks like as complete charcoal or nearly complete. And yeah, I think it's probably about probably can close this off. It's probably not quite done. So I'd like to just put this top back on just to showcase the smoke disappearance again. So smoky right now, and it should disappear. There it is. This is going to close off the bottom of this kiln because we're ready to close it up. It's been cooking now for a couple of hours. So this is just like this is doing the same thing as the mud is doing on the other kiln. We're going to go ahead and take this off. There's a lot of pressure in there actually right now because of the gases that are trying to escape. So that's why you see it pushing out smoke and air from all possible places. But it'll quickly start cooling down, and then it'll just be cold. You come back later tonight or more safely tomorrow morning and see how much charcoal you got out of there.